Okay, today we're going to start Unit 3, which we're going to talk about functions. Both, is it a function or not a function, function notation, parent functions, and that such things. So today we're going to start on notes number 1, which is it a function. So some new terminology that we're going to kind of learn, and then some of it may be kind of normal. For an ordered pair, we always have our x and our y value. Our x coordinate we may call an input, or we may call this the domain. So if I say x value, if I say input, you have to realize that input is your x value. Your y coordinate is called your output, or we can call it our range. So those are going to be terms that we are going to be able to interchange whenever we're talking about our x, y values and our y values. So if I say input, I'm talking about my x value. So another new word we're going to talk about is a relation. A relation is a rule that assigns an output to an input. So that means if you have an ordered pair, it's a relation. So it's going to be really important whenever we start talking about functions on the definition of a relation. So, side note, domain and range need to be listed in order from least to greatest, and there should be no repeats. So if there's 2 2s, you only need to write 2 twice. So on this one, we got to identify the domain. The domain, if you guys remember, is our x value. So if we write domain over here, do a colon, and then I have 1, 2, 3. Then my range is going to be my outputs. So range I have 3, 5, and 9. That's all I have to do for that. The next one, we have points on a graph. So first we're going to label these points. I have -6, 0, 0, 1, 4, 0, 4, -3, and this one would be -1, 7. So for your ordered pair, you always see how far you went on your x-axis, then how far you went on your y. And then I'm going to list these. So my first one I have is -6, 0, -1, 7, 0, 1, 4, 0, and 4, -3. So again, our domain is our x value. So I have -6, -1, 0, and then I have 4. I only list 4 twice because there's 2 of them. And I listed those from smallest, which was -6, to the biggest, which was 4. And then your range, my smallest range is -3. Then I go to 0, I have 2 of them, so I'm just going to write it once, and then 1 and 7. So that would be my range. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions on identifying the domain and range. Make sure you write them in numerical order. Okay, so next we're going to talk about a function. A function is a special type of relation that follows the given rule. You're going to need to know this rule. It's going to be super important. You will have to write the definition. Each input has only one output. So it's going to be super important that you know that. So going down, we're going to identify, does each input have an output? So for mapping, we're going to look at the input. Does -2 have one output? Yes. Does -1 have one output? Yes. Does 0 have one output? Yes. Does 1 have one output? Yes. Does 2 have one output? Yes. So each of these inputs just has one output. So is this a function? Yes, because each input has an output. So next one, 14 to 8, 13 to 9, 15 to 7. Oh, I have another 14. So I have two 14s. So anytime your x values repeat, that means that 14 has two different outputs, 8 and 6. So your x's can never repeat. So this is no, because 14 has two outputs. Next one, look, again, like I said in the last one, you just look at your x value. Do your x values repeat at all? No. So is this a function? Yes, because each input has one output. So as you guys can tell, I just kept writing the definition for a function to mark my reasoning for explaining if it is a function or not. Okay, next one is our vertical line test. This is another way to determine if it's a function. So what you have to do is you have to draw vertical lines all over your graph. And you have to see how many times it intersects your graph. If it hits one time per vertical line, it's a function. If it hits multiple times per vertical line, it is not a function. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw vertical lines. Does my line just intersect it once? So this is my line. It just intersects this line once. Just once. So this once. So this one would be a function. Now on this one, I can see that my line will intersect my vertical line 3 times. So this is not a function. This one, my vertical lines just intersect it once. So this is a function. This one, it intersects it once everywhere except in this very last one. It would intersect it twice. So this one is not a function. And then the last one, you're like, well, Mrs. Gilbert, it's just going to intersect it once whenever you draw the line there around it. Yes, but it intersects it multiple times at that same point. So this one is also not a function. It can only hit it once, and this one it would hit it multiple times. Okay, so I kind of went quick through those notes. Let me know if you guys have any questions over those, and you guys can get started on your homework once you are finished.